Welcome back. We will discuss specifically about the first platforms that we want to explore as part of this course now. We will talk about search engines. You might all be very familiar with what search engines are. You might be using a lot of search engines in your everyday life. So, for example, you might be using Google, you might be using YouTube, you might be using Amazon, you might be using a lot of different search engines in your life. We will talk about some of these search engines, and specifically we will be focusing on Google. Google basically has the biggest share in the market. Almost 75% of all searches happen on Google. It is followed by Bing, which has almost 8 to 9% of searches. Baidu is basically the search engine that you find in China. It also has significantly 7 to 8% share, and you have Yahoo, which basically captures around 6% share in the global search market. Why are search engines so important? Search engines are extremely important because of one specific reason. You get hold of the customer right at the time that the customer is searching for a product or searching for a requirement, and that is why search engines are very critical in the digital marketing ecospace. It is known that almost 60% of customers out there start their purchase process from a search engine. Think about it. You wanted a new mobile phone. You might be going to Google and try to search for mobile phones or specific product types or specific model of mobile phone, or else you might be going to Amazon and searching for a mobile phone. For any product that you want, if you are thinking about going to a touristic destination, if you are thinking about going on a holiday with your family, you might be thinking about going to Google and searching for things to do in such a location. You might be searching for hotels in such location on a search engine. So, search engines become extremely important, extremely relevant in the digital marketing ecosystem or the digital marketing space. Now, when you go to Google, for example, or when you go to any search engine, let us take the example of Google here. When you are going to give a search term or a keyword, you basically are getting a result page, which is generally known as search engine result page, SERP. Now, the SERP has basically different components to it. You might all be aware of these things. When you search for something, the first links that you get are paid advertisements. This is generally known as search engine marketing, where advertisements are shown in the first couple of links. Then you have a set of links which basically are not advertisements. These are generally known as organic links or organic links based on search engine optimization techniques that are out there. And on the side, you might find something that is a knowledge graph. You might something that is Google My Business application. You might also have other applications like the map or other information, addresses to organizations, etc., all provided on the search page. In some cases, you will also see that towards the bottom of the search result page, you will also have some advertisements. So, if you take the entire search result page or the entire output that a search engine provides to you, you will have organic search engines or organic SEO, which is the phrase used to describe processes to obtain a natural placement on the organic search engine result page. So, this is where you are naturally and organically trying to make sure that you are ranked highest on the search engine. If probably you are not very high on the search results organically, or automatically you do not come out to be the best person out there, then you might be able to pay a certain amount of money to Google and provide an advertisement there. So, that is where we call it as search engine marketing, which is the process of gaining traffic by purchasing ads on search engines. It is also in many times called PPC or pay per click advertisement. Now, the first and most important aspect, we will come into both of these things in specific sections. We will talk differently about organic search engine optimization. We will also talk differently about search engine marketing or Google AdWords campaigns. But before we come into that, we need to understand how a search engine actually works. It might be very difficult for you to understand. I generally like to ask this question to my friends or my students at times. How does a search engine work? How does Google know which pages to show to you? There is a saying that Google knows everything, but that is not always true. Google uses an algorithm. Google uses a process by which it comes out with these search results and gives you the best websites that are out there. The best way of understanding how Google works, or to use an analogy, it will be good if you think of going to a library. What do you find in a library? In a library, you will see there are collections of books and books. There are books on a different number of subjects. There are a lot of books. Probably the number of books in a big library might overwhelm anybody. So, in many cases when you go to a library, you might go to the librarian and you might ask the librarian where to find books in the library. Google does something very similar, not exactly like what the librarian does, but it is easy to understand from the context of a librarian. Say for example, you want to read something on physics, you might go to the librarian and ask the librarian to help you with books on physics. Now, the input to the librarian's mind is this term that you have given the librarian, which is physics. Now, based on this term, the librarian will show you that the books are available on such and such shelf, or the librarian is now going to go to the shelf, pick up these books and bring these books to you and give it to you if you have a really nice librarian. So, in many cases he will just show you the shelf where it is kept. How does the librarian know where the book is kept, in which shelf, etc.? This is because the librarian has created an index. There is a kind of sequencing of books in the library. The librarian knows which shelf has which kind of books. There are content markers, there are ways in which the librarian has organized the entire bookshelves. So, based on the input that you gave to the librarian might go to shelf A, B, C, etc., pick up a set of books, bring it back and give it to you. You had given the input which was only physics. Now, think of the case where you went to the librarian and this time you asked him for astrophysics. Now, the librarian is not going to give you the same set of books that he gave you earlier. He might give you a set of books which are a little bit more advanced, books which are very specific to astrophysics, books which are generally used by people who are interested in astrophysics. Now, how did the librarian make this change? The librarian made the change because now you gave the librarian 2 words rather than just 1 word. Earlier you gave the librarian only 1 word, which was physics. Now you have given the librarian 2 words, which is astro plus physics or astrophysics. Now, depending on the input that you are going to give the librarian, he is going to give you the set of books based on the indexing that he has done. Similarly, Google uses the keyword that you are going to provide. You go to Google and talk about physics, Google is going to go out there and look for the websites that match this keyword that you have provided and give you the best websites that are out there. If you are going to go and talk about basic physics, it will give you another list. If you are going to talk about astrophysics, it will talk about something else. If you are going to talk about quantum physics, it will talk about something else. So, how does Google do all of these things? Google goes in a sequential pattern. There are 5 things that Google does. It does crawling, web crawling, it does indexing, it does processing, it calculates relevancy and it retrieves all the results. So, again on my right you will see all of these different stages: web crawling, indexing, processing, calculating relevancy and retrieving results. Now, before I go into explaining what each of these mean, we need to also understand what business Google is in. Google or any other search engine is only going to be worthwhile, popular and interesting to customers if the search results are going to be extremely relevant. Think about the case where you went to Google, you typed for some information, it gave you information which was not necessarily relevant to what you are looking for. Would you attach a lot of value to this website or a lot of value to this search engine? Most often not. You might find that this website or this search engine does not give you the most interesting or most relevant results. So, to be the market leader in search engine businesses, every search engine has to now provide you results which are the most relevant to whatever you are searching for. So, how does the search engine identify which is the most relevant result? This is where the search engine uses a lot of different techniques, a lot of different algorithms to identify which website is the best, which website should be ranked highest, which website should come in the 2nd page, 3rd page, etc., and something that needs to come in the 10th page. So, what the search engine does is it has bots, robots, which basically keep crawling through the websites. All websites that the search engine can access. There are a lot of websites which the search engine cannot access. There are a lot of websites which the manufacturer or the owner of the website does not want search engines to access. But everything that the search engine can access, it will keep crawling through all of these things. It will keep indexing what content is there. It will keep looking for keywords. It will keep looking for the content that is available. It will keep looking for a lot of different technical elements which we will discuss briefly in coming modules. It will keep looking for all of these things and try to create an index. Like the librarian's index, Google will create an index. And at times it will start processing this index to identify when you give a keyword, which is the website based on that indexing that it has done is the most relevant. And it will give you in an order, in a ranked order, the first most relevant website, the second relevant, third relevant, etc., etc., etc. So all of these things are done by the Google algorithm. It starts with web crawling, where the crawler is going to, or the spider as they call it, is going to keep looking into different websites, different parts of the website, different ways in which the content is provided, and try to create an index of what is there in the website, what keywords are best matching to each website. It will process all of this information when you give a search term. It will calculate relevancy when you give the search term, and it will retrieve the results and provide it to you. So this is essentially how the search engine works. There are different elements that are extremely important to these search engines. One of the important element is the keywords that a person is providing and the keyword that you have used in your website. The next one is the website structure and the sitemap that you provide. You would have seen sitemaps in many websites. Towards the bottom of the page you will see there is a small link called sitemap. If you click it, you will see a structure of how the web page is designed. So structure and sitemaps are extremely important. There are different browsers out there. I am talking about internet browsers. You have Internet Explorer, you have Google Chrome, you have Mozilla Firefox, you have Opera, lot of different browsers out there. There are a lot of devices that customers use. Say for example, customer could be browsing from a desktop, customer could be browsing from a mobile phone, the customer could be browsing from a tablet, the customer could be browsing from any of these devices. There are different operating systems that the customer uses. Say for example, the customer might be a Windows desktop user. The customer could also be an Apple desktop user. The customer could be browsing from an Android based mobile phone. The customer would be browsing from an iPad as well. So depending on the kind of browser, the kind of operating system and the kind of device the customer uses, your website should be compatible to all of them. So browser, device and operating system compatibility is another key element of ensuring you have better search engine optimization. You also need to understand that the website is nothing that stands alone. The website is connected to a lot of other websites. The website might be connected to social media pages, a lot of blogs out there, etc. So backlinks and forward links, different links that you see of websites connected to other websites are also key elements as to how the search engine calculates relevancy. Speed of the website, a slow website is always going to be frustrating for the customer. A fast website that loads very fast. You would have seen many times you click on one website link and it will keep rotating for many seconds. It will not give you the content immediately. So the customer generally has a feeling of going back to the search result page, or the customer has a feeling of closing this tab because he doesn't want to wait or she doesn't want to wait. So the speed of the website, relevance of content that is there, and something that we call bounce rate. What happens if you go to a website from Google and the website doesn't give you information about what you are looking for? You either hit the back button or you hit the close button, because you don't have anything on this website, you don't have any reason to be on this website. So that is generally called the bounce rate. How many customers did come to my website and decided to quit the website or go back to the search page very soon? So it is a factor of time, because if a website has a lot of content, if a customer finds that content relevant, then the customer is going to spend time to read through the content. If the customer doesn't find the content relevant, then the customer doesn't spend time on the website, immediately goes back. Say for example, you are talking about a website that has a lot of advertisements, a lot of pop-up advertisements. The customer comes to this website from the search page, the customer sees that there are a lot of advertisements, you can't see any content, or there is immediately a page that pops up and says that now you have to give me a lot of information like your mobile number, email address, and register on this page, and only then I give you content. Most customers will go back to the search page hitting the back button or close this window altogether. So when the customer starts doing this, Google calculates the bounce rate, and bounce rate is also an important element of how the relevancy of the page is decided. We will come to each of these aspects, but as an understanding of what search engine optimization is, the first part of search engines that we are going to discuss, it is a process of refining your website using both on page as well as off page practices, so that it will be included and ranked successfully in search engine. So that is a small definition or a small meaning of what search engine optimization is. We will come back to what each of these things are and discuss in detail how you can achieve better search engine optimization results. It is also important to understand why do we have to do search engine optimization. Now think about it. On a search engine, we discussed how 60% of your customers are necessarily thinking about starting their purchase process from the search engine. In the search engine, you have two options. You have either an option to pay upfront for advertisements to Google or any other search engine provider. you have an option of providing yourself on the search engine in the first page by not paying anything to the search engine provider. So, by having search engine optimization, you have a greater opportunity to get a lot of organic traffic without actually paying for these customers to come to your landing page. So, it helps you to get hold of a lot of customers without actually paying money. So, it is organic click through rates, which basically talks about not having to spend money in advertising. It also increases engagement, because if you are somebody who is in the first page of the search results, then probably you have greater engagement, because more number of people are likely to click on your page. Roughly 20 to 25% of customers only go to the second page. Most of the customers, around 75 to 80% of the customers, click on links and find websites that they are looking for on the first page of the search results. So, think about the number of customers you will miss out if you are in the second, third, fourth page, etc. If you are on the 10th page, then probably you are getting nobody from the search engine, right. It also increases reputation. Think about yourself, if the customer comes to Google and searches for a product, and if you are the first person to come up on Google, it basically means that somewhere your reputation is also increased. Customer might feel that you are somebody who is credible, customer might find that you are somebody who has a lot of reputation. So, increase of reputation is also one thing, and because many of these customers will be going to the first link, second link, etc., and mostly the top links in the first page, you generally tend to have market leadership and a competitive advantage from all of this. You generally will have customers coming to your page as compared to your competitor's page, thereby making sure that a lot of conversions happen on this stage. So, increased conversions, organic click through rates, increased engagement, better reputation, market leadership, and competitive advantage. All of these are elements that you get from doing search engine optimization, and you do not necessarily have to pay anybody a lot of money for each customer who is coming to your page. So, all of these things are reasons why you have to do search engine optimization. Now, there are different steps involved in doing search engine optimization. The first of these steps is to understand your own website. The second element is where you are talking about doing on page optimization. The third element is where you are talking about doing off page optimization. You have a lot of social media that is present today, and because of all the social media that you have, you need to also do a lot of activities on social media to make sure that your search engine results are enhanced, and you also need to keep monitoring what is your search engine result, what is your organic SEO result, and thereby you need to keep improving yourself so that none of your competitors can come and take the place that you command. So, because of search engines being extremely important, we will come to each of these elements in some detail, but please try to understand that search engine optimization is not a one step solution to anything. It is a very dynamic process. It needs a lot of constant attention. You have to keep evaluating what is going to happen with your search engine result page, what is the kind of output customers are getting for the keywords that are interesting or important to you. You also need to keep changing your website a little bit, because a lot of times search engine result page are based on how your website is structured, how your web page is looking, and hence you might need to understand how your website is, how the structure of the website is, what kind of on page and off page optimizations can be done, and keep improving yourself so that you can achieve the highest rank on the search result page. Okay, so we will talk about on page optimization now. There are different things that we need to do for on page optimization. One of the most important elements here is keyword research, because many times we need to understand that customers are using certain terms, and we are trying to get these customers to come to our page because of the terms that they use. So, keywords are basically significant words or phrases that are related to your website, and in many times your keyword should be matching with the search terms that customers use. Now, how is that we can identify which keywords to use? Because it becomes very relevant, and it is one of the most important elements to achieve greater optimization ranks or optimization scores. So, that is why we will talk a little bit about keywords. Let us take an example here. Let us consider that you are running, or I am running, a business which is about selling used cars in, say, the city of Mumbai. Now, because I am running the business of selling used cars in the city of Mumbai, I might find that there are different keywords that I can use. One of these keywords, very obvious keywords, could be to use cars. Another keyword could be something that is more specific, which would be used cars, Also I could use related keywords like cheap cars, or I can use a more specific keyword like used cars in Mumbai, or I can go specifically and say that used Maruti cars, used Tata cars, used BMW cars, etc., etc. So any of these keywords that I use, any of these terms that I can identify which are significant words or phrases that are related to my website become my keywords. Now it is very important and extremely relevant for us to understand that these keywords or predict what keywords the customers are going to use, because unless we know what search terms the customer is going to use, or unless we know what is going to be that term which is going to give the customer a feeling that I am the website that he is looking for, she is looking for, I might not always succeed. Now again, to understand one more thing, there is something known as the long tail of keywords. Now if for example I take the example of the automotive industry like we were talking just now, me being a used car seller in the city of Mumbai, if I take all the related keywords to the used cars sales or used cars business in the city of Mumbai, I will find that there are a lot of keywords. Many of these keywords that are very frequently used would be very basic broad keywords. For example, if I take for example the keyword called car, who are the companies or which are the companies that are running behind this keyword? You will find that all automotive manufacturers, all big companies that are selling automotives will be interested in such a keyword. Your Maruti, your Suzuki, your Tata, your Volkswagen, your BMW, all of these companies who are in the car business will be interested in this keyword. You will also find that there are a lot of other providers, say for example financial companies which provide loans and finances to vehicles are also interested in these keywords. You might find a smaller businesses, say for example if you have a car accessories shop, you might be also interested in this keyword. And a lot of companies which are providing information about which are the new cars out there, which are the toy cars out there, which are the kind of cars that people are fantasizing about, which are the type of cars which are new technology, something that is going to come out later on. All of these people will be essentially looking for this search term of car. So if you take the entire set of keywords out there and rank all the keywords in the number of or say for example if you take the keywords that are out there and rank the keywords based on the number of times people are searching for them, you will find a picture similar to this. This is generally called as a long tail of keywords. You will find that the initial part, which are the keywords which are ranked higher, the most frequently searched key term, the second most, third most, fourth most, etc., around 20 to 25% of the most frequently searched key terms are generally in the short head. These are the ones which are very popular keywords. And if you come subsequently below to this graph or come to the tail of this graph, you will find that there are very specific keywords which are not very popular. So not a lot of people are searching for the keywords which are in the long tail, but these keywords might be extremely relevant to you. Now what will happen if you are always going to focus on keywords which are in the short head or in the first part? These keywords are extremely popular. There might be a lot of people who are searching for these keywords, but there are two major problems here. One, they might not necessarily looking for the kind of content that you are providing. Remember, I am a used car seller in the city of Mumbai. So not everybody who is using the keyword car is interested in you buying used cars in the city of Mumbai. So one is that my relevancy score is not going to be very high, and two, I have to compete with everybody who is out there in this ecosystem of doing any kind of business with cars. I will have to compete with all the car manufacturers, I will have to compete with all car accessory providers, I will have to compete with all financial services who are interested in this keyword called car. So if I am going for keywords which are in the short head, I basically might not find relevance and it becomes very competitive for me. So despite the fact that I might be doing a lot of optimization methods here, I still might not get myself into the search results page if I am only going by the keywords in the short head. But think about the case if I am going with the long tail. I might be somebody who is using the search phrase used cars for sale in the city of Mumbai, or used cars in Mumbai, or buy used cars in Mumbai, or buy cheap cars in Mumbai. Now there are very limited number of people who are searching for these terms, but all the people who are searching for this specific term, of course who are in the long tail, might be extremely important customers to you, might be extremely relevant to finding your website, coming to your showroom and buying cars from you, because the search term that they have used is extremely relevant and very straightforward to the business you are doing. So that is why we need to understand that when you are thinking about identifying keywords, you should not necessarily always think about the obvious keywords that are out there with a lot of searches that people are doing. You should identify keywords which are in the long tail as well, which are going to give the customer a lot of relevant content from your website. So mix of both the keywords on the short head as well as keywords on the long tail is going to be the right strategy for you to use. Now here again, there are two ways in which you can identify what keyword research or how you can arrive at specific keywords. We call them the online keyword research and the offline keyword research. I will talk about online keyword research first. Online keyword research is where you can identify keywords without using an online tool. So there are different ways of doing it. One of course is brainstorming. Every organization, every marketing department has a set of interesting and capable people like you who basically are involved in identifying and involved in making sure that the product is available for the customer. So you can brainstorm within yourself, within the organization, to identify which are the terms that your customer or your target group customer might be looking for. What kind of search results do you want your search your page to be ranked? So that is where brainstorming is one very simple but very efficient way of doing keyword research. The second is where you can look into a lot of marketing materials that you have. Companies generally will have advertisements, they will have marketing collaterals like brochures and a lot of material that you make to give to customers. Now many a times when the customer gets hold of these materials and customer wants more information, the customer is going to use this material, and based on the influence that the customer has from the brochure of the company, he or she is now going to search for things. There might be keywords. Say for example, if you are a company who is involved in creating anti-lock braking systems for bikes, the customer is going to go online and look for specific technical terms that are related to anti-lock braking system. So hence you can use a lot of marketing collaterals, brochures, a lot of company material to identify that okay, these are the specific keywords that I might be interested in. It is also interesting because many times your marketing collateral is very closely related to what content is there on your website. So if you use this keyword, which is also going to be keywords that are present on the website, the relevancy scores are going to be high, and of course the search engine has a greater need to provide customers with your website because this is what the customer is looking for. You can also use customer surveys to identify what kind of things are the customer talking about you. You can try to listen to customers as to what kind of lingo are they using, what kind of words are they using to talk about the category of products or talk about you as a specific company in the marketplace. So all of these different methods, right from brainstorming, marketing materials, customer surveys, a lot of listening to customers can be used at an offline level where you are trying to identify which keywords are most appropriate. There are some limitations in using offline keyword research because one, you have a lot of data in the digital space, two, you are not using any of this data. You are still getting insight to your small team and confining yourself to your own understanding of what is the best keyword and thereby picking it up. There is another way of doing this, that is the online keyword research. And in order to do online keyword research, you can basically use a lot of tools that are out there. One simple tool is the Google autocomplete. If you are going to remove all the browser memory, all the material that is there in the cache memory, all the cookies, etc., and then you go to Google and then you start typing for a key term, you will see which are the most frequently searched terms, and based on that Google is now going to suggest something as an autocomplete. So you can identify what are the terms that customers are so looking for, what are the terms that customers are searching very frequently, and that can be a basis by which you can identify keywords for yourself. There is a Google AdWords keyword planner. Google AdWords is basically something that is used for search engine marketing, where you want to provide advertisements on the search engine. So a tool that is used for providing advertisements gives you a keyword planner tool. Now the keyword planner tool basically tells you specific keywords, what is the number of searches that are happening from different locations or different geographies of the world. So if I am in Mumbai, if I go to Google AdWords keyword planner, it will tell you how many thousands of people are looking for this specific keyword. So thereby now, rather than just doing brainstorming or doing something on my own, I have an understanding as to keyword A versus keyword B. what are the number of searches that each of these keywords are getting. Based on that, I can now plan my keywords much more effectively in a more systematic and a more foolproof manner, which is not going to be completely completely foolish or completely going to fail itself. So that is where you can use AdWords Planner tool, Keywords Planner tool. You can also use Google Trends. Google Trends is something that all of you would be aware of. It is again a platform that gives you results or summary of all the different types of searches that are happening on Google. It will tell you what kind of locations, what kind of searches, how many people are searching for different things, what kind of times are people searching for different things, etc., etc., etc. So again, looking into Google Trends, you can get an idea as to how many people are looking for and searching for specific information. And once you have this idea, or once you have this understanding, you can basically look into creating your website or using keywords that are part of trending topics or trending content, right. There are also, so these are specific tools that Google provides to you. Some of them are free, some of them are costly. Now there are other tools that are out there as well. Say for example, you can use SEMrush. SEMrush is again a tool, a third party tool that helps you to identify what kind of optimizations and what kind of keywords can you use in order to make your website automatically come up in the first search page. You have MOOC Keyword Explorer, which again is a third party tool. There are innumerable number of third party tools out there. Again, some of these third party tools are free, some of these third party tools are not so free. So you can use any of these tools. So on one hand, you have an offline research process wherein you are trying to identify which are the best keywords among yourself. You can do brainstorming, you can look into marketing collateral, you can also look into a lot of customer surveys to identify which are the best keywords. On the other hand, you have online methods wherein you can use Google AdWords Keyword Planner, Google Autocomplete, you can use Google Trends, you can also use other third party methods like SEMrush, MOOC Keyword Explorer, etc. to identify which are the best keywords out there. Now once you have realized that there are a lot of keywords, if you are going to keep populating all of these keywords on say an Excel workbook or a notepad, etc., you will find that there are a lot of keywords out there. How is that you should choose the right keyword? Which are the keywords that you should use? This is again a very important question. You have to basically understand that every website has only limited content that it can take, and these keywords that you choose should be the most appropriate or the best for that website. So in the next session or in the next module, we will come back to identifying what are the some methods that you should use to identify or choose keywords, and then we will come into other elements of how the website should be structured so that you get better SEM results.